together, man. Last week it's fuzzy. Now we got no intro. Sometimes.
I'm trying.
I'm sure everybody can be seen here. We got everybody in here?
Yep.
All right, everybody. This is Doc T, Dr. Justin, Dr. David. We messed with the format here a little bit of sitting, just see if we like it. Welcome to the SHARC Doc Talk. Today we're going to go over some fun stuff that we enjoy, youth athletics. So when we dive into the world of youth athletics, it's a complex world because you have parents and coaches to deal with too. It's not like I got Dr. David at the gym working out. He's got a coach, but he's also a grown man taking care of himself, so we can have a good conversation. Justin, same thing. Now we're talking about we have a 14 or 15-year-old kid playing pick a sport, football, soccer, basketball, baseball, golf, whatever it may be. And now they're starting to get injured. They're starting to have pain. And within that world, and sports today is kind of nuts. I mean, I can speak to this. My kids are swimmers. These kids are going year round. There's no more, baseball season and football season and track and soccer. It's like, 50 weeks a year, it feels like, is just sport. So that's what we're going to dive in today. Last time we left off, we were talking about what we do here as far as assessing, treating, rehab, things of that nature. And we started talking about a 15-year-old soccer player that I've been working with. And we likened that to a 60-year-old soccer player. Yeah. Same hip issues, completely different findings on assessment, completely different rehab program. But with that 15-year-old, when we get back to youth, we had to think about a lot of components, which is what makes it tricky too. We're not just talking about their pain. We're also talking about the fact that they're, 15, probably not going to the Olympics yet, maybe, who knows? You never know. But we definitely know they're injured and they're in pain. And so we have to assess that and address that first and foremost. Now, most times when you're talking to parents, talking to kids, it's really hard to say we have to back you down a little bit. And I'm on a tangent already, so you guys chime in if you need to. And it's really hard to say, you know what, we might need a week. We might need 2 weeks because it's going to feel like a long time for them. However, because they're young, 1 or 2 weeks is actually not bad. Mm-hmm. So let's jump into any experiences you have with any youth athletic kids you've worked with or input you have on that topic as far as kids and just the emotional state of kids.
Yeah, it's
when they get hurt.
It's a very interesting thing because at that point in their lives, it oftentimes is just their world. That's what they're doing. This is what they love doing. A lot of times the kids will put their identity to it as well. Right now I'm coaching JV basketball. Shout out Calvary High School. It's been fun. It's a really fun journey because you also see them, mature as people and mature as men because I'm doing men's basketball right now. But yeah, it's an interesting topic, especially when someone gets injured and you have to have that like adult conversation of like, hey, we should probably pull you a little bit right now because we need to save you for your life or really for the rest of the season here.
Yeah, for sure.
And it is a hard conversation, but it's a necessary conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And like me personally, like growing up in sport, it was always there was always a stigma behind like being hurt or telling a coach that you were hurt or I need to go see the trainer in high school. Mm-hmm. It almost felt, whether it was true or not, from the coach's perspective, that when you said my back's hurting, my groin's hurting, I need to go see the trainer. Yeah. You were kind of scoffed at. You're like, okay, whatever, just go. Whatever. Like you're quitting on your team. Like you're soft for being hurt. Like I grew up and I played hurt and all this. And I'll kind of relate it back to my experiences now with youth sport athletes, that whatever pain that they are experiencing, it's not that it's all in their head. Mm-hmm. Everyone perceives pain differently, sure. But it almost seems like kids will say whatever it is, whatever they need to get seen, which I think is kind of disheartening a little bit. They'll say like on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you need to go to the hospital. What's your pain level at right now? And they'll say it's an 8 out of 10. And I'm like, 8 out of 10 is like, really,
that's pretty bad.
That's really high.
You present in a way, like when a patient walks in, and you're like, I'm going to ask you this question, but I've already got an idea where that number is. Mm-hmm. My fingers will hover over that number, and usually I'm within the 3 range, right? Mm-hmm. With her, you're looking at her, or an athlete like that, and you're like, yeah, you're a 2, 3, you're an 8. Okay, that doesn't add up. Yeah, doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up, and it's almost like a cry for help, like please help me. Almost that's how I receive it, and I think that's. It's quite sad. Yeah. That kids have to say stuff like that just to get care.
Mm-hmm. Now this is a rare situation that we'll run into. And these are like the extremes
Yeah.
where, like my soccer player just wants to go back and play soccer and have pain in her hip. But you have these where I've had a couple of these cases in my career where I felt like it was a son and a dad, and the son was into it and the dad was really into it, and that was really hard. And especially with a lot of injuries that walk in our office are not obvious injuries. It's not like there's bruising and swelling and things are falling off or fingers are broken. It's like it's not an obvious thing. It hurts when I do whatever. But for the kids, that the disheartening position you can get into with children is they're trying to say, I need a break, mental, emotional, or physical. Like oftentimes, if they're mentally spent or emotionally spent, it'll manifest into a physical problem.
100%.
If you will. You know what I mean? And we have, so we talked about this briefly last time too. I'm part of what is it called? The American Chiropractic Board of Sports Physicians, I think it is, the acronym goes. And so we have something called a youth athletic junk pile that we talk about. And that's where you have these athletes who are young, they're talented, probably, gifted with some skill, right? I got 90-mile-an-hour fastball and I'm 13, or I can sprint, 12-second 100. And then you go, that's awesome, but then something gets pulled, something gets injured. And then they go through this cycle where it's not enough to stop them, but it's enough to make them not perform as well as they want. And then that frustration builds until something does kind of get injured almost to where they have to take time off. And at some point, they're just done. So anyway, boy, I'm just tangent Tuesday or something today.
Keep drinking that Celsius. You're firing.
Apparently. Anyway.
It's going to be a fun
But your typical athletes come in. I find the funny part, the hard part with this is the ones I see. And that's true. So there's two sides of that coin. You got the cry for help, which is out there. And that's always our message to parents. I have to make that phone call to that parent and say, hey, just FYI. I work with pro athletes all the way down to, 6-year-olds. There's something amiss with them. They're off. They're frustrated. They're emotionally, there's something is off because their pain doesn't match their presentation. Yeah. Mostly what I see, watch my kids do this, is I had a kid come in limping, couldn't put pressure on the leg. What's your pain level? 1 out of 10. You can't walk. How is it a 1? And so you have this spectrum, and kids are just kids. They're very pliable. My son, hyperextended his elbow doing jiu-jitsu years ago. I said, you okay? Fine. He dangled it down like it was a dead limb and proceeded to finish jiu-jitsu class because it was fun and he wanted to. And in the back of my head is doing what I do, or what we do is like, God, just don't break it, don't tear it, don't injure it, don't make it worse. Just at least don't, and we'll go get it taken care of. So youth athletics is unique in the sense that you have these kids, and generally mentally strong, that have this spectrum of numbers. That's a 1 out of 10. They're walking in like they're dying, or an 8 out of 10. They're walked in like, it's just a Tuesday afternoon, nothing's going on. So it is tricky. The other side is the injury itself.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of our older patients, 40 to 60, call it, half of what we're dealing with them is whatever they did to themselves when they were 15. Whether it be a hip flexor, a shoulder and a pitcher or a thrower, a low back or a knee and a lifter. What else? Basketball?
Yeah, I played basketball in high school.
You and I picked the wrong. You picked a good sport.
You picked a
for
good
your
sport
height
for you.
and size.
Yeah.
I'm 5'11". He's
5'4".
5'5". And
I ain't lying. 5'4".
He picked basketball and I picked volleyball. It's like can't pick what you love. It's just the way it is, right? No. But you have these injuries. Like I suffer from things I've done when I was younger, and it's like you just didn't get them fixed. And so our hearts go out to that, and that's really where our passion comes in. And it's hard. It's where the trick part. You have coaches, like Justin just said a second ago. You have parents, which. Can I tell the story? Did I tell the story of Sprinter last time?
You did, but I think it's still a good story.
Oh, we got to tell the story. Okay. So while I was in school, I'll keep it brief, I promise. It's Tangent Tuesday on a Wednesday. We were talking about, and we were hearing a story about this girl who was 13 or 14 at the time, was doing an 11 and a half or 12 second, I'm probably getting the number wrong, but it was fast, 100-meter sprint. And at the time, we had a coach, an Olympic level track coach, who said, wait, is she still running? Because she was like, he was saying, I can get her at 12 or 13 running that fast. I can get her in the Olympics by the time she's 15. She's already gifted with what we need. We'll fix the rest. And the doc said, no, she retired. She's done. She threw up the cleats and she's done. And they said, what happened? Well, the story goes that in order to get to these meets, which you can drive all over the state for, the coaches and the parents decided that she'll do a 200 and a 400 as well as her 100, which is her sport.
That's a lot.
And that's, for those out there that aren't real sure why that's a big difference, it's almost about 2.5 to 3 different training modalities. Usain Bolt, fastest man ever, at least for now. Guy's getting faster. Everybody out there's getting so faster.
Yeah, I will say, when they said the fastest man alive for this Olympics, Usain was still faster in terms of time.
Yeah, that's true. So time never lies.
Yep.
But you got a Usain Bolt. Well, the fastest 400 guy is going to beat Usain Bolt in a 400 because they're two different things. So when we heard that, all of us kind of cringed. We're like, oh, this is tough. And that's where sometimes, parents and, just I get it. I have 3 kids. Like I said, we drive to swim meets all the time, and it's not all of them are close. And but I also understand that I'm not the coach. I got to let them do their thing. And parents, sometimes you got to, just back off and let them be. So what happened is she was doing this for 2 meets, I think. And next thing you know, she pulls a hamstring. 2 years later, she throws up the cleats. She retired. She doesn't run anymore. And she loved running. So those are the kind of things we talk about with this athletic junk pile, where with parents, you have to be very aware of your child. They can be being lazy or emotionally, mentally, they're just kind of done for a while or just need a break, that mental break. And when you go year round at 15, that's a lot. And then you have the ones who can withstand apparently broken limbs and limp in here dragging it. It's a 1 out of 10, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a very fascinating world. So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times I've definitely seen a kid, when they love their sport, they will do anything to play that, right? They'll have a concussion, they'll still try to play. Or I was helping this one football team. It was a high school football team from, I think it was Australia. Can't remember. No, it was the Samoas.
So what kind of football are we talking here?
It's like American football.
Okay.
Yeah, American football. They're from America Samoas, so they're big boys. They're big boys at 14.
Yes.
There was this one kid that came in, and they were just looking for some free care, and I was like, I'm willing to help out on this one, because high school team that's traveling across the world, really.
Oh, I remember these guys, yes.
Yeah. One guy, he's like, yeah, I was running, I felt a pop in my knee, and then I didn't want to get taken out, so I just told the athletic trainer, yeah, I'm good. I did an assessment. No, he had a torn, or at least strained to a degree, ACL, without question. And I've torn my ACL, and that's not fun.
No.
So I don't know how he's playing on that. I could have been wrong on the diagnosis, but that thing was moving more than I wanted it to. So
A little lax.
I told him, like, hey, we should probably pull for at least the next couple of games here. Go get it assessed when you're back home.
Yep.
So they'll play. They will play.
I'll play through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't be more opposite. I tried to be as tough as possible when it came to injury. And like I remember I was 13 and I was on this new travel team.
Yeah.
And I mean, love my dad, but I told him, I'm like, please stop telling coaches that I can play catcher. Because I'm small back there. I don't like it. It's a lot of energy. It's not my thing. I don't like it anymore. Okay, I played it in Little League. I don't want to play it anymore. Well, he tells the coach because he wants me to play. Yeah. So it's with the best intentions. But I remember, because I'm not the best catcher. I can play catcher. I'm athletic enough. I remember I caught a ball wrong and I screwed up my thumb for so long. And if I would have just taken 3 or 4 weeks to like just rest, right?
Literally, recover.
You have to just get out of pain. You have to recover, let the tissue heal. If you just did that, I would have been fine. It bugged me for like 8 months.
That's the worst.
And like it's my catching hand, like trying to squeeze the glove, it's hard. Hitting, it's my bottom hand, and so when my bat's coming through the zone, top hand kind of it rolls through it, and it's putting stress on that thumb, and it hurt every single time I swung. Yeah. And so like it sucks that we're in that, and definitely still in that that era of you play through pain.
I don't think it ever ends.
It'll never end. I thought we were getting at a better spot until I started working with a couple of athletes as a professional now, and it's like, oh, it's not torn, great, and they did.
Gone.
And it's like that's all they needed. It didn't matter how much I explained what was going on, why it was happening. It didn't matter. They come in, they're like, thank God it's not torn, thank God it's not broken, and they go.
And this is more like as a dad of 3, it's more like parents, there's some things you need to consider. The better the athlete, right? You have to think in your mind. If we had, let's say Dr. J here was throwing, we got to come up with a cooler nickname with you. Dr. D, Dr. Dion. It's just so long. Anyway, we're going to get there.
We'll get there.
But I wanted, Anyway, so let's say Dr. J here is throwing, he's a freshman in high school, just got out of 8th grade, first year freshman, walks on to varsity and says, I can pitch. Coaches scoff. They throw him on the mound. He's winging 90-mile-an-hour balls at him. And he's got pretty good control. That pitcher, that person, that entity, the second the coaches see that, the second parents are aware of it, that person now, whether they're skilled at throwing, technically sound at their footwork and pitching, or whatever it may be, it does not matter anymore. The focus becomes, how do we get him in as many games as we can for the season?
Bingo.
Yeah.
And once you trigger that process, sometimes, and I've done it, my kids are pretty good swimmers. I've had some moments where I'm like, you know what? Like, not to sidestep about me personally, but just, I had to talk with the wife once because we came back from a meet, and my 2 boys just had a horrible day. Just the kind of day you're like, God, I don't want to wish my life away or forget days of my life.
Yeah.
Not a lot of them. This one I want to forget. I don't want to think about this ever again. And I started doing the math, and they were going to meets almost every 2 weeks. And in swim, you can say, well, the meet's like a minute and a half. Or pitching, it's only 3 innings. The problem is, it's such at a high level of competition that you can't recover from that in a day or two.
Yeah.
Like even the pitching in pros right now, it's insane to think these guys are pitching 15, 16, 20 games.
More than that.
That's insanity when you think about...
Yeah,
Go ahead.
every 6 games, they're going 100% as long as they can go.
Until breaks.
And until you get to August and you're tired and you blow your UCL.
Didn't that happen
Shout
to the
out
Dodgers? I was about to say.
They're notorious for the UCL tears. They got a case of the UCL tears.
That's a horrible thing to have a case of. I'll take
and the Angels for the record. Yeah,
the California teams.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what enough about the throwing program and progression that comes with like MLB level pitching, but there's something where there's a disconnect between how hard guys can throw now and the capacity of load of the human body in general.
Yeah.
That's
we're really
simple.
reaching that peak.
We have not. We put the cart in front of the horse.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Because you can, therefore you will, regardless of whether or not it's going to ultimately hurt you. And it's very fascinating because you get this a lot. Some sports are very far behind in training modalities.
Yeah.
Track and field seems to be monumentally ahead in so many ways with strength training, technique training, understanding. But back to, we thought you were supposed to help put the brakes, man. You're just helping us go off the tangent all the time. So I love it. Never mind. We'll take that back from last week. He's just like us. But back to the youth thing, it's the other consideration is with this. So back to this kid who's throwing 90, say, and I've had a couple kids, seniors, that were throwing 88 to 92.
That's great.
And don't ever play catch with them. It's scary but you have this kid now understand this other component, that psychological piece. They're successful. They're getting attention. They're enjoying it. They're playing the game they love. So if my shoulder starts to bug me a little bit, I'm not saying a word. I'm going to keep on going. I might pop some Advil behind parents' backs, or parents might know. Who knows? I'm going to do the things. Now, mind you, we're talking about a 15-year-old child. We're not talking about a pro baseball player. So you have these kids making these little changes now in what's this unnatural phase, if you will. But we forget this other component. They're still growing.
Yeah.
There are no full-grown men at 15. And if there are, that's a rare occasion. Yes, I've seen kids at 16 with mustaches and beards. Yeah, but they're not full grown. Like, there's still the process of. And when you're winging a ball that fast, your ligaments are in no shape to absorb the stresses of stopping that limb. The thing with baseball, just since we're talking about it, you can create the acceleration. That's not where you get hurt.
It's the stop.
It's
the
when
brakes.
you're stopping it, man. The brakes are what break things, right? Yeah, I just said that.
It makes sense, though.
The brakes, they break things. Didn't you know that? Yeah. So that's what we often look at, just as the doctor side again. We're looking at the tissues that put on the brakes, the eccentric loading of things. Eccentric, just so you know, is the elongation of things. So anyway, back to this. So for parents in consideration, it's like, for parents, the best thing you can do for your children, generally speaking, you don't really have to push them. Take them to practice, let them go. Your thing is to pay attention to their well-being.
Yeah.
Mental, emotional, physical. Like, you can see, you know your children by 13, 14, 15, you've been staring at them for 300 days a year, 360, whatever it is, just because, they're sleeping. So I'll count the sleep factor. Hopefully they're not staring at them. That'd be weird. Anyway, so look at them sleep. They're so beautiful.
We're talking about Doc's parenting styles.
Oh, God, it's hilarious. But you know how they are. So you can tell, like, we'll look at our kids. My wife's gotten great at this because she doesn't have a background like with what I do. And she notices, like, so-and-so, Quinn, our oldest, his energy level's off. He's sleeping in later than usual and getting up with less energy. He needs a day. Mm-hmm. He just needs a day. Or our daughter, she's just, she's really good at faking like I'm sick or have a cough.
Yeah.
And she looks at me and gives me the eyes, and I'm like, oh, okay, you win. Yeah, not much of a fight there. But you start to pick up on the cues. So with parents, the advice we have for you as a not as a dad, but as a doctor, talking about children as athletes go, understand that if they're an athlete, they're driven. If they're above average, they're extra driven. Mm-hmm. They're going to get attention, which just keeps, throwing gasoline on the fire. You as a parent have to take a step back because it's exciting. Trust me, I get just excited everybody else. Take a step back and just look at them as far as how they appear to you. Mm-hmm. How different are they to you?
Yeah.
And then, you know what? You're the boss. Pull that plug and take a day. Take a week. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's not going to hurt their prowess. I make a joke in here, but I say this to a lot of patients, especially when we're coming up to events 2-3 weeks away. By taking a couple days off today, you will not be a worse athlete in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. By not taking these couple days or a week off right now, you will be a worse athlete in 2 weeks. And I can guarantee it. 100%. I'm done. Continue.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that statement too. It's just because, like, oftentimes we're always focused on getting more reps in because they're kids, they're learning, they're doing everything that they need to do. And yes, it is sport specific, and you only get better at doing your sport by doing your sport.
Right.
But at some point, you need to let the tissues do their job. They need sleep. They need nutrition. They need rest. They need to understand all the other stuff in order for that to happen well, right?
100%.
So we need to let the body give it proper time to heal and proper time to understand everything that it needs to do. And if we don't do that, we're basically just shooting ourselves in the foot here. Yeah. So all the money that you put into your kids for that one, make sure they're getting rest.
You undermine. Yeah. You without, and again, not trying. I mean, I've done it. Mm-hmm. I have swimmers, for the love of God. They eat more food than almost any sport I've seen next to maybe power lifters or Olympic lifters.
Powerlifters are just fat.
Yeah, and Olympic lifters, well, funny about that. I learned this one. Olympic lifting can't because they have weigh-ins. They have weight classes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Powerlifting is powerlifting.
There's weight classes. There's weight classes now.
Yeah. Maybe I think I'm strongman competitions.
Yeah, strongman. So, strong. Okay, here's the difference.
There we go, yes. Okay.
Strongman competitions, the weight classes for that is hilarious. I know this is a tangent, I'm sorry. But there's either above 200 pounds or below 200 pounds. I love it.
Don't be 201, man. You're cutting for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, it is funny about that. Yeah. I don't know where we're going with that.
Just nutrition and
nutrition recovery, yeah. Big.
It's huge. It's really important for these kids. And plus, like Doc T was saying.
Yep, I forgot.
What Doc T was saying is those ligaments aren't quite ready for that too. And if you think about it as well, kids are more pliable. So that also means, for the most part, I'm also looking for bone injuries too.
They're bendy is what he's trying to say. Very bendy.
Yeah. A lot of times you might not see a tear on something, but hey, they might actually have like an avulsion fracture somewhere. We have to take a look.
Yes.
We have to see what's going on.
This is where we're diving into the doctor part.
Yeah.
Dr. Justin, can you explain to us what percentage of bone change do you need to see it on an x-ray? I have to call back school.
Recall school. On an x-ray, I don't know a specific percentage number.
Yeah.
I'm going to get, if I had to ballpark it, I would say probably 80%.
Wow. What's your guess?
I'm trying to remember. It's not.
Now, mind you out there, this is not me putting them on the spot. This was just like a question I thought I've mentioned in the past. I found it fascinating. Mm-hmm. And unless you obsess about it like I have for the last 20 years, once I learned this, you're not going to remember it. It's 51%. Yeah, you need 51 plus percent change in bone to visually see it on an x-ray, which means if you have a child going through a stress response or an avulsion possibility, and they've got a 30% change, you will not see it on an x-ray.
No.
And oftentimes, unfortunately, with our medical system that we have, and I have no problem saying this, if they don't see something or can test for something, it doesn't warrant in their mind further assessment, meaning an MRI, ultrasound, something like that. So it is funny because I've had patients in the past where they've gone x-rays and it's clear. They go to an ultrasound, it's not clear. And it's a fascinating thing to see, but yes. So I wasn't putting you guys on the spot. No, it's very smart guys, I promise you. Way smarter than I am. I was just like, I'm fascinated about that for forever.
Yeah.
Once I learned that, Can you imagine how many things are missed on X-ray now? Anyway, back to kids.
Yeah, I mean, I get
Straight
the
up,
X-ray point, just because like, hey, for X-ray, for on their end, it's cheap, fast, we can get
Cool.
it done.
Yep, get it.
But at the same time, it's not the end all be all. So when you say I had an X-ray, I'm okay. Like that's just the very surface of stuff. We have to make sure everything else is okay.
Isn't it funny? We talked about this last time.
Yeah.
We did this podcast. We were touching on youth athletics. We tried to end it because we try not to bore everybody, and we've got 9 topics left to go on.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like this is like part 1.
Yeah.
Just we haven't got to food, sleep, just all kinds of other body maintenance stuff. But yeah, so it's a where'd we go? Where was just at?
We talked about X-rays.
X-rays.
Talks about
There it is.
X-rays, yeah.
So for parents out there, if you go see a medical doctor, now we're a little different for obvious reasons, but medical doctors and orthopedic surgeons are looking for specific things. They're not necessarily, for the most part, I love all my MDs out there and orthos out there, but they may not necessarily be looking for why these things are going on. They look at an X-ray, MRI. I don't see anything. I'm testing orthopedically. They have some pain, sprain, strain, no big deal. What we do is take that information, and that helps us kind of guide what to do next. But as parents go, again, this is more like a consideration for you. If that's what you get, take them to someone like us because you need somebody to assess them in what we use the word a lot, a functional sense. How do they move otherwise, and how will this owie, I guess, you can't really call it an injury, you're nothing injured, but how is this owie going to affect the rest of their world? So when you're going down that rabbit hole with the medical side of things and you're getting pictures done and checking out this and checking out that, and nothing is coming back, you need to keep looking a little bit because the kid did do something. And you want to figure that out because we take pride, like, oh boy, I'm all over the place today. So a freshman pitcher, they're not going anywhere until their senior year of high school, right? Very few kids are getting yanked out their junior year of high school to go play pro, but they are getting looked at. Now, if you, and this is almost like a strategy. If you as a parent have a child who throws like that, it's take that athlete. They're strong, they're powerful. 90, they'll probably get 95, 96 as they mature, if not more, who knows, right? And you have shown a track record of pulling that child out, getting recovery and rest, getting treated nutrition, and you're showing the world to be that you guys are really taking that body seriously.
Yeah.
That looks good to the future prospects, i.e. colleges, pro teams, things like that. If you have a child that has nagging injuries from freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and senior year, it looks different. It reads different.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider, like the positive spin, where we're just pounding the kids constantly, which again, I have 3 swimmers, 6 days a week, 2 hours a day. It kills me sometimes, but I get it. They don't complain. We keep an eye on them. And then we'll get into part 2. We'll talk about the rest of the stuff you do. So anyway.
But yeah, like going, like the taking care of your body part, like the investment in your body is the biggest thing, one of the biggest things that you can have.
Yeah. And
I'll tell a story about one of my teammates in junior college who went to an SEC school. He was a pitcher, and he was on scholarship and had some injury issues, and then ended up breaking a rib throwing, which that's crazy.
The pitching side?
So he wasn't
broke
hit, but he just broke it while throw?
Yeah, he broke it on a throw.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff going on there.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's powerful.
He medical red shirts. He comes into.
So sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
For those that are not familiar, medical redshirt means that you're injury, so you could take that year off, so it doesn't count towards your 4 years of college.
Yes. Yes. Good clarification.
Of course. I had one.
So he goes and he has his exit meeting for the season, and like, hey, we're pulling your scholarship. So that's something that you have to realize, and it's a real thing because these schools and these teams are going to invest in you because they see something in you. If you can't take care of your body, you can't stay out of the treatment room, they're gonna stop their investment on you.
Move on.
So invest on the front end so that you can profit on the back end.
You know what's funny is we go through these conversations almost every podcast. We touch base on what we do, why we do, so forth, and I think that's the biggest verbiage that I hear that resonates is investing in yourself. Yeah. And while it gets to be a bit much when you hear all the ways of saying you have one body for your life and that's it. You got the one, take care of it. But as athletes go, you have to. So if you're not an athlete and you're just kind of going out exercising and, living your life and cruising along and feeding the ducks and having a good time, you should take care of your body because it'll feel better and wake up better and sleep better and move better and all that. If you're an athlete, you don't have a choice but to take care of your body.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there is literally, I get to watch, and I'm very lucky, pro guys do things they don't have to do per se. Their contracts are guaranteed. They're good. They're getting paid. They do it because they want to feel good. They do it because they want to keep playing, and they want to keep playing without injury as much as you can. And so I love that. I love that mindset. I think that's our goal in life. If we have a mantra here, how do we get everybody to understand, take care of your body on the front end? Take care of it as soon as possible for as long as possible. God, will you be happy?
Oh, yeah.
Be happy.
Yeah.
We see it too often. Like
All the time. Every day.
People come in and they're like, man,
Should take care of this. Yeah.
I wish I would have found you sooner.
That's a fun one.
Yeah. Or, man, I wish I would have started with you guys like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it breaks our heart because truly, like, you're looking at 3 docs here who were athletes from being young. We've gone through, like, Dr. Justin went through his thing with his shoulder, not wanting to be a catcher, which I don't blame you. I was a pitcher.
Yeah, shoulder, thumb,
Catcher
leg,
sucks.
you name it.
Oh my God. Because us pitchers, when we're younger, we're not consistent.
No.
You don't know.
You're
We
working
don't even know where
hard.
the ball's going.
You're working hard.
It's almost at that point, it's just pure talent at that point.
Yeah. Sometimes you close your eyes and guess.
Thank you for calling me talented.
Oh, see, I love the compliment table. That's what we should call it, compliment table. And then we have, the basketball player, and then all the stuff I did, and you just go, I really wish, like, we do this podcast. People ask why we're doing a podcast. One, I like to talk. You haven't figured that out by now.
Oh, yeah.
2, it's really to get a message out there to people. There are options. You don't have to live in pain, be in pain, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we really do hate hearing, we wish we would have found you sooner. And again, we're not patting ourselves on the back like we're amazing doctors or this or that. It's just that we've been through so much. We can resonate with you much better than some docs can. We understand things going on. We're all athletes. But we also have a particular set of skills that has helped us be very successful at what we do. And our clients love that. That's why we keep coming back, right? So we're just saying to you, implore you, like, you may not see us. You might be watching this somewhere in Arkansas. But go find people like us. Find that mindset where we're putting you and your body ahead of everything else so that you age gracefully.
100%. Yeah, like I like what Doc T said about that. Like, to sum it up, like, we care. We've done this before. Like, we were in those systems. We've played. We've hurt ourselves. We've played hurt. And we also understand, like, hey, you're competitive and we want to get you to playing. So let's go do that. But at the same time, we also have to weigh the pros and cons of some stuff. So that way, when you are 35 and not playing anymore because your athletic career has stopped, you don't have problems scratching the back of the head because your elbow hurts or your shoulder hurts.
Can't move it. And we are your brakes.
Yep.
Ha-ha.
Yeah, 100%.
Swung that back around. I knew I was going to get that back in there.
Hit that double play.
But that's what we do. We're not going to tell you to stop doing something unless you need to stop doing something. You know what I mean? If you're telling me that you're not really like that soccer player, she wasn't injured. She was dysfunctional. But that dysfunction over time, especially at that level, is going to bleed into injury. So we can avoid that. So yeah, let's take a week off. Let's get you calm. Let's fix a couple things and then go back. And I promise you, one of my greatest success stories, I guess in a way, yours is like the lifter with the shoulder.
Yeah.
No injury, tweaked a couple movements, position better, pain's gone. And they think it's magic.
Yeah.
And you kind of smile. And we'll talk about yours. You think of yours right now. But that's one client, to give you an example. We had, his weightlifting guy.
Yes.
You're on the
podcast. The bench one. Right?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you're that. Yeah. And then I had one where I had a guy come in with knee pain. I assessed the crap out of him. I was a young doc. I was probably 5 years out, so I didn't have a lot of experience. He wanted to run a half marathon, and he wanted to PR it, which is what you always want to do. So I assessed him like I normally do. I wasn't as confident at the time because I was still young, but I was like, it looks like your glutes, literally, you run with your quads. That's it, and your toes. So 3 months prior to his event, I made him do walking lunges 3 days a week. Now, back then, I was a little ignorant to better ways of doing things, but it worked great, and it was my go-to, especially for runners. So at one point, he was up to 400 walking lunges, 200 each leg, 3 days a week, plus some other core stuff and other stuff we did with him. And I just happened to be driving out of the office one day going home and saw him on the street doing it. It was like 102 out. It was hilarious. But we worked on his form and his technique, so he did them perfectly. He goes and runs the event. He PRs it by like 13 or 14 minutes. And a half marathon, that's tough to do. Wow. He did not run one time in 3 months. Not once. And the point of that was, once you fix the problem, the sport, you don't necessarily have to play it. Now, this is different if it's basketball or weightlifting. There's technique involved. Not that there's technique in running, but like, I can't not shoot free throws or shoot hoops or work on my Olympic lifting or powerlifting positioning. But the purpose there, point of that is, if the body's doing the right thing, it can support whatever it is you're asking it.
Oh, yeah.
So if you got a young kid, fix their wings. I mean, they're talented, and dude, winging the ball 90 miles an hour, or this girl's playing insane soccer, and all of a sudden she's fastest kid on the track team, just walking on. Imagine what that would looks like in 2 months if she takes a break, gets stronger.
Absolutely.
I mean, imagine what that looks like, right? And learns how to, the biggest thing we like to do, learns how to take care of themselves.
I like when you said get them stronger. That's not just me speaking as a powerlifter, right?
Biased.
It's actually just me speaking as, someone that cares for the athlete. We're often looking to get them stronger, at least as the parent will often look at it. They'll look at them to get stronger during the season. The best time is actually during the off season.
Oh,
Take that off season, get them stronger, fix
if they
all that
have one,
stuff.
yeah. If they can get an off season,
Yeah.
All right, but we're going to stop here. We're going to get that part 2.
Yeah.
We want to keep you guys interested and intrigued. So come back next time. We're going to cover food, recovery, off seasons, and training. And you're going to love this. If there is no off season, like my kids are swimmers, they get 3 weeks off in August, and that's it. You have to create your own off season, and we'll go into how to do that and like kind of strategies to help that out to make sure your kids stay healthy.
Yeah, if you're liking what we're doing here, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, and hit notification buttons on all
That's
that.
my line. Justin, you need a line. Oh, and
Tell your friends.
And
there
tell
you
your
go.
friends. Yeah.
And we're going to hear about Justin's athlete success story. We're going to start off with Justin's athlete story.
Let's go.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right, guys.
That's a good one.
This is Doc T.
Dr. Jessen.
Dr. David.
We'll see you guys next time.